Hello, welcome to lesson 2 on Venn diagrams. This lesson we'll be looking at set notation, okay? This is quite a biggie, so let's jump right in. So, when we discussed Venn diagrams, you may remember last lesson we may have talked about event A or event B happening. So we talked, example, the chance of a student studying history or geography, or owning a cat or a dog, or playing football or rugby, or anything like that. So the formal way to talk about Venn diagrams, rather than always titling everything, we use something called a set notation, okay? So we discuss, in some Venn diagrams, we discuss things called events, okay? And each circle represents an event. So in the equivalent of last lesson, it would have been A would be you own a cat, and B would be you own a dog. If you're in circle A, you own a cat. If you're in circle B, you own a dog, okay? So to kick us off, we've got event A, okay? And this is just represented by the letter A, and this could be anything, okay? And as you can see in the Venn diagram, I've highlighted in green. If you were asked to describe what event A, what was contained in event A, you would describe everything in this colored circle, okay? The next one is event B, which is simply the other circle. Everything contained in that other circle is described as event B, okay? Like we said, you can have events C, D, E, and F, okay? And you would just have more circles overlaid on top of them, okay? A dash. So A dash was known as, so we called it not A, or not happening. So A dash is describes event A not occurring, okay? And you can see it drawn in the Venn diagram. Everything except for event A has been colored in. Much the same with B prime. Again, this describes everything except event B, or it's saying event B does not happen, okay? So there's going to be two new words you're going to learn now for in the sense of data and statistics. And the first one is union, okay? And union, if we talk about A union B, it is represented by this U shape here. And this describes event A or B occurring, okay? So union means or, okay? I highly recommend you make a note of that down, because it's going to be super important for all your life for statistics, okay? Union is A union B is A or B, okay? The other word is intersect, and this is represented by pretty much an upside down U, okay? So A intersect B describes event A and B occurring, okay? So union is or, and intersect is and, okay? So you can see it's highlighted on the Venn diagram. It is the overlap between the two events A and B, okay? So that intersect is the two events do occur together, okay? Now, those are the 6 main ones that you need to know for these next couple of lessons. But there's a few honorable mentions. That there's loads of different variations we could describe here, but there's 2 I'm going to mention because they are very important. So one we've got here is A intersect B prime. And if you were just to talk through what you're looking at, what you're seeing when you're reading the event, you should be able to figure it out for yourself, okay? So A means event A. We've got the upside down U, or it looks like some people call it an N. That means intersect. So we're clearly talking about A and something else happening, but we've got B prime. So literally, this just means we're describing event A and not B occurring. So it has to be the overlap with event A and everything that isn't event B. Okay, so that's how you can see in the shape up here, we only highlight event A, but without the overlap. Okay, and the other one is A union B prime. And you can tell, so you're going to be careful with this one, because you can see that A union B is actually in brackets, okay? So the prime is saying that the whole A union B does not occur. So it's A union B prime, okay? So remember, just to be careful with the brackets, make sure you look at the brackets. What A union B prime describes is that neither event or B occurs. So everything outside of A and B will be highlighted in the Venn diagram, okay? So there's loads of different variations, but if you just take your time and read through what the event is saying, you should be able to figure out for yourself what event is being described, okay? So another part of this lesson, so currently we've just been drawing Venn diagrams and describing with lots of words what we want to go in the Venn diagram, but there's actually a very formal set notation way of doing this, okay? And to kick us off, we have got the Greek letter Z, okay? That's this letter here, it's the capital E with a little tail on it. And this letter represents the universal set, which basically means all the data we're looking at, all the data contained in this event, in this set that we're looking at, okay? Then you've got event A, or data set A, and this is just a set of data. It could be anything. So, for example, we could say, if we were looking at the universal set of the number 1 to 10 inclusive, which includes 1 and 10 all the way through, then event A could just be even numbers. So the only even numbers between 1 and 10 are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Event B could be, it's just a different set of data. In this case, it could be multiples of 3, which are 3, 6, and 9. Okay, so just nice and easy. So those are the two events, and yeah, this is now we're going to start formalizing how we describe our Venn diagrams using set notation. Okay, so let's have a look at a few examples. So we've got our Venn diagram here, and the Venn diagram we're describing here is exactly the same as the example we just looked at a slide ago. So the universal set is 1 to 10 inclusive. So that's going to be all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Event A is the even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And B is the multiples of 3, 3, 6, and 9. So you can be asked to complete Venn diagrams and then state the numbers defined by the following events described. Okay, so let's complete this Venn diagram first. So first of all, let's look at the intersect, or the intersect. What numbers are both even numbers and multiples of 3? Well, it's only 6. Only 6 is a multiple of 3 and an even number. Now we can fill in the rest of the even numbers apart from 6, because that is also a multiple of 3. So we would have 2, 4, 8, and 10. We can also now do the multiples of 3, except 6, because that's a multiple of 2. So we've got 3 and 9. And then outside these circles, you would just have any extra numbers that weren't defined by any of them. So we've got 1 and 7. Okay, and 5, sorry. 1, 5, and 7. So now, part B, we need to state the numbers defined by the following events. So, part I, we need to find all the numbers described by event A. So that's going to be this one. So we need to find all the numbers described by event A. So what numbers are in that circle for A, which is going to be this one here? Well, it's just 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. It's all the even numbers. Next one, we need to define the numbers in B prime. So all the numbers that are not in B. Okay, so otherwise we need to find all the numbers that aren't multiple of 3. So that is going to be this one here. And those numbers are 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10. Because those are all the numbers that aren't multiples of 3. The next one, A union B, well, that is going to be this one down here. So that's going to be all the numbers contained either within event A or B. So that's going to be all the numbers except 1, 5, and 7, because they aren't an even number or a multiple of 3. Part 4, A intersect of B. Well, that's going to be this graph here. So what numbers are even and a multiple of 3? Well, it's only 6. And then the last one, so remember this is the tricky one now. You're going to read the event described really carefully. So we're looking for A intercept with not B. So what is described by event A and not B? And those numbers are, if I get my highlighter, A and not B would be this here. Okay, so let's write that as A intercept not B. Okay, and those numbers are 2, 4, 8, and 10. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing this lesson, is describing numbers or stating numbers defined by events. Okay, let's have a look at another example. This time round, we have got the total set are the numbers between 1 and 20. A is multiples of 4 and B is multiples of 6. Okay, so if we were to populate the Venn diagram now, so what is a multiple of 4 and a multiple of 6? Well, it's only 12. What are the other multiples of 4 apart from 12? Well, we've got 4, 8, 16, 20. And the multiples of 6 are 6 and 18. And the rest of the numbers would just go in here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. Oop, not 6. Yeah, and 16. No, not 16. And 20. Okay, so be really careful when you're filling this out, okay? So part B now, we need to state the numbers defined by the following events. So what is described by event B? Well, that's going to be this one here. So that's going to be 6, 12, and 18. What describes not A? Well, that is going to be everything outside of circle A, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, so all those numbers are outside of A. And then part 3, what is A intersect B? So that's going to be part 3 here. The only numbers both that is a multiple of 4, multiple of 6 is 12. So we can see in that intersect there. And for part 4, again, this is one of those tricky ones. So let's describe now. So we've got B intercept A prime. So we're looking for B and not A. So that is only going to be this one. So it has to be within B, and it also has to be not A. So that's going to be 6 and 18. Okay, so that is B not A. B intersect not A described. Okay, so have a look at one more example. So it doesn't have to be numbers, it could be letters this time. Okay, so in this case, the universal set is the alphabet. Event A is the word orange, or the letters O-R-A-N-G-E, and event B is the vowels in the alphabet. Okay, so for I, we need to describe event B, which is all the vowels. So if I change my pen, that is going to be this one here. So what's in circle B? Well, that's just the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. The next one is A union B, which is this one. So what letters are in event A or event B? Well, it's going to be all the letters in orange and all the vowels. So we've got orange and I and U. The next one is probability of A intersect B. Sorry. So what letters are vowels and also in the word orange? Well, it's just going to be the vowels O, A, and E. Okay. So, and then the final one now, if we have A intersect not B. Okay. So let's think about this one now. So A intercept not B. So for the time being, I'm just going to populate this Venn diagram only with the letters orange and the vowels. Okay, I'm not going to bother doing all the letters of the alphabet. I'd be here all day. So we've got R, N, G, and then we've got I and U. So A intercept not B is going to be event A and not B. So that's going to be only event A, so not event A and B. And those letters are R and G. So that's how you described event A and not event B. Okay, so very complicated, very tricky subject this, so don't worry if you don't get it first time. So let's now have a little warm-up task, okay? So for a quick warm-up round now, if we have a set of people who were in a survey, event A describes that they own a cat, and event B describes that they own a dog. If we were to describe, so now what we're going to do, we're going to describe these events with sentences, okay? So we're going to describe what these events look like in the real world, okay? So I'll kick you off. I'll give you two examples. So for part one, event B describes someone who owns a dog. So someone owns a dog. If they're contained within event B, that means they own a dog, okay? And if we were to do this one down here, so part 5, what we've got here is A intersect B prime. And if we break this down, that is A and not B. Remember, that means A and not B. Okay, so A means they own a cat. So they own a cat. And B means they own a dog, but it's B prime. So it's a cat and not a dog. Or if you want to think of it another way, it means they only own a cat. Okay, so there's two different ways of thinking about that last one. Okay, so have a pause the video and have a go at those last three remaining ones. Okay, best of luck. And here are the answers. Very well done if you got those right. I'm going to do one more mini round, which is basically the reverse of this. Okay, so in this example, the total set of people, again, are people in a survey. Event A means they play football. Event B means they play rugby. So to give you an example, so if the event described is that they play rugby, well, that is defined by event A, okay? And if I was to describe this one now, so question 4, it means they play football or rugby. So that means event A, and hopefully you remember the equivalent of or when we're talking about events, that was union. So A union B, okay? Because that means A or B happens. They either play football or they play rugby, okay? So pause the video and have a go at the last three questions, or the missing three questions, okay? Best of luck. And here are the answers. Very well done if you got that right, especially this last one down here, okay? So if they only play football, it's the same as saying they play football and they don't play rugby. So very well done if you got that last one. Moving on to the main task. So you need to, so there's 5 different questions here. Each question has a total set, or the defined set, and has the definitions of event A and event B. And then below those, you need to define all the numbers or letters for one of the questions that satisfy the event included. So for question 1, you need to define the values in A union B. For 2, you need to find the ones for A intersect B, etc., etc. Okay, so use Venn diagrams to help you if you want. And then, yep, have a go with these questions. Feel free to go back in the video to remind yourself what A union and A intercept B looks like, okay? And watch out for question 5, because it is that wild card event that I described earlier on, okay? So pause the video and have a go. And here are the answers. Very well done if you got them all right, especially question 5, which was that very tricky A union B prime, where both you're defined not A or B. Okay, so very well done if you got those right. And let's move on to the checking question now. So on the checking question now, so here is a past paper question with a bit of an extra twist. So on each Venn diagram, you need to highlight the appropriate area to describe the event associated with it. So all that means is for question A, you need to highlight A intersect B. For B, you need to highlight A union B prime. And for C, you need to highlight A union B prime. And then the next part of that is you then need to state the numbers described by the event given the following information. And the following information is this here. So for the total set of numbers 1 to 10 inclusive, event A is that they are prime numbers, and event B is that they are square numbers. So you need to describe, you need to state the numbers described by each of these events, these Venn diagrams. So I'd highly recommend drawing the Venn diagram to find out which numbers, to find out where the numbers go in it. Okay, so pause the video and have a go. Best of luck. Okay, so let's have a go. Let's work through these together. So for question A, we have got A intercept B. What that means is A and B. So if we highlight this, we're looking to find what is covered by A and B. Well, that's just the intercept, isn't it? And then if we have a look at part B, so we're looking for A union B prime. So we're looking for, so A union B brackets prime is not A or B. Because remember, union means or, and prime, it means that it's not either of those. So it's not A or B. And if we just highlight this here, that means we're going to highlight everything that isn't A or B. Okay, I'm just going to do this very quickly. So everything outside of A and B. Okay, very well done if you got that right. And the last one now is A union B prime. Okay, but there's no brackets. So that means A or not B. Okay, A or not B. So A is included in this. So it's A or not B. So A is included in that. And it's also everything that's not B. So actually it's the rest. It's the rest of the diagram except event B. Okay. Now you may notice that A union B prime is exactly the same as B prime. Okay, that's just a happy coincidence. That fact will come more useful later in your statistics career. Okay, but don't worry about it for now. So, part 2 of the question, we had to state the numbers described by the event, by each event. Okay, and the total set was 1 to 10. Event A was prime numbers and B was square numbers. So let's populate these Venn diagrams. Okay, so hopefully here you can see that I've, outside of the two events A and B, I've got 6, 8, and 10 because they are neither prime or square numbers. In event A, I've got 2, 3, 5, 7, which are prime numbers. And in event B, I've got 1, 4, and 9, which are the square numbers between 1 and 10. Notice there is nothing in the intercept of A and B because the definition of a prime number means it has no factors. Okay, and a square number is the result of a number squared. Okay, so hopefully now this should make it fairly obvious what our answers are going to be. So for A union B is going to be, sorry, A intercept B is going to be equal to none. There are no values contained in the event A intersect B. Okay. For part B, A union B prime, the only numbers described in this are 6, 8, and 10, as you can see clearly in the diagram. Okay, so this is why the Venn diagrams are really useful for this. Okay, it helps you really clearly see what we're trying to find. And then for the last one, A union B prime, that is going to be equal to, well, so numbers highlighted yellow. So what have we got? We've got 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So very well done if you got those all right. Very tricky. Hopefully this question will make you appreciate how useful the Venn diagrams are for dealing with these notations, okay? Very well done if you got those right, and we will see you next lesson. Bye now.